Hello, hello, hello. What time of the day? Where are you at right now? Well, it's still morning here for me, 11:41 a.m. And I want to tell you guys, welcome to Mama Coco's Life and Style Sundays. Get the difference. Sundays, we don't deal with politics. Sundays is all about life, life structuring, life changes, life management. You know, we speak of ourselves. We are all inclusive. We want to educate. We want to bring people in the conversation, be a part of it. Because today I promise you, and I promise you a wonderful woman. She was born in a family of, well, 13, but 14 kids. 13 plus herself make 14. Yes. I'm offering you Dawn Coreen Henry, a wonderful woman. She's an aesthetic. And she's phenomenal. But she's here to speak of her mom. She's here to speak of herself, her life, her business, her children. Please join me. So she's an esthetician, I mean. Yes. You know, sometimes my anxiety, the stakehold of my good meaning. So let's bless the Lord today. Let's give Jehovah some praises. Let's say hallelujah. Thank you, Lord. Father, we want to thank you for today. And I want to thank you, dear God, for the people that you have chosen to follow me or to like me and my page and what I stand for. Father, I ask you for your guidance today. Father, be our everlasting portion as I welcome our sister. Yes, Dawn Coreen Henry. Welcome,
hello, everyone.
Dawn. Welcome, Dawn. Welcome our sister today on the live.
Thank you so much, Mama Coco. Thank you so much for having me. You are an amazing woman yourself, like really, really amazing. And since listening to your programs or your interviews, I've learned so much from you and your guest. And Alan was the one that really inspired me to be here today. And also, I'd like to thank all the viewers for joining in, logging in. Thank you so much.
Well, I want to say I welcome you on here. And I am so happy that you watch the show and get excited and get illuminated. The light that you shine on my normal Facebook and how you answer and your respect, you understand me. I'm excited to have you. And I am proud of my previous guests, that their performance could make you feel that you could gather yourself together, strengthen yourself, and be brave enough to come and sit and share your life story. So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm honored.
You're welcome. So here we have you, my dear sister, Dawn Coreen Henry. Tell us about yourself. Or we jumping in immediately. So,
okay.
So brace yourself.
Okay, so I was born in Sangre Grande, Trinidad, and the 8th child of 14 children. But one thing
let me just give a round of applause for that. We can't wait till the end of the show. You are 8th of 14.
But my mom actually had 16 pregnancies and 15 births. But because I wasn't around when one of the children died, I think she was 8 months old, Estella, I never really talk about her because I never met her. So, you know, it's even my daughter one day, she says, Mom, you didn't tell me there was another child. Anyway, so in actuality, I'm the will now be the 9th child, I think. Anyway, so let's leave it at 8 because that's all there's 13 siblings are the ones that I know.
Yes. And we are excited to hear you speak of your family. Tell us about it.
And okay, so I was born, where I was born is in a back room. It was just a room that my father was building a house. And it was just a room that was probably bedroom, kitchen, everything in this one room. Because as I grew up, I remember my father building the house. It ended up being a 3-bedroom house, but I was born in the back room before the front of before 3/4 of the was built. And so there was no electricity, there was no running water, there was no lots of nothing, but because we grew up in the country, my mom planted, and so that's how we survived, apart from other things, going to the grocery.
So where was the nearest hospital to you guys?
There was a hospital in Sangre Grande, but when I was born, I don't know if there was a hospital like in walking distance to my home it's called Coronation Street. That was the first hospital in Sangre Grande. Now, I don't know at the time if the hospital was there or not, or if it was long after my time. I don't know. So, but I know at that time, my mom had a lot of her kids at home. She had a midwife that would come and have the kids, and she would have the kids at home.
Yes, we understand. Oh my, she had all the kids before you, and even when you were born right there or in a hospital?
I was born right there in the back room.
In the back room?
Yes.
Wow.
And so... Then, of course, the way it works, you go to the registrar close to where you were born to register. So the name Coreen, yes. So I grew up being called Coreen. I went to elementary school. I was called Coreen. Everybody called me Coreen. And then when I started high school, I saw my birth certificate, and there was Coreen nowhere to be found on it. And I said to my mom, where's Coreen? And she said when she went to register me, and because it's all the neighborhood, everybody knows everybody. And I think she was a makumeo, is what they would call somebody who was yes. So she said to my mom, what kind of name is that, Coreen? Why don't you name the child Dawn? So she wrote down Dawn, and she didn't even spell D-A-W-N. She put D-O-N on my birth certificate. So in elementary school, everyone knows me as Coreen, and in high school, everyone knows me as Dawn.
So can we make a little pause there? So because it started to sound a lot like Christmas, because I went to school as Joyce, Joyce, and I never knew that Joyce was not my name. My mother gave me her name, but I never knew that I am Cora. She never even called me Cora. So when I signed up for my common entrance, listen to this. Listen how humans are alike. No matter what race, no matter what color, no matter what time span, we have something in common.
True. Very true.
So when I signed up for common entrance, I put Joyce. But my birth certificate did not have Joyce. So I was as shocked as you saying about Don and Dawn without Coreen, but you call Coreen. That's what happened to me. So I was to now get used to hearing in the classroom in elementary school just before doing common entrance, Cora panting. And the only time I would know to respond is because of panting. Because I was familiar with panting, not Cora. So all my nieces and nephews, those that born with me and soon after me, they all know me by Joyce. So here we have something in common. So right now, you already have me as your companion, so let's go.
And so growing up, my mom, we were taught, like your guest last night, Gabriel, we were taught to embrace all religion. Although we learned that the one religion was the one that we belonged to was the best, we were still learned how to embrace other religions. So there was a lady named Nani that whenever she'd invite us to prayers, she was Hindu, we would go. And I was totally fascinated. And how they would, do the stuff on their face and then all the different things, I was totally fascinated. Then the Seventh-day Adventists had their, I forget what it's called, where they put a tent and they would come and preach.
Crusade,
so we went to that.
crusade.
Yes, crusade, that's right. They had their crusade. So we'd go to that and I'd learn hymns that I didn't learn in my church. So we were.
And what was your church? What was
Roman
your
Catholic.
church?
Roman
Oh,
Catholic.
Roman Catholic. Oh, nice.
Yeah. And if there was Seventh-day Adventists or Jehovah, anybody came, my mom would talk to them. So I learned at an early age tolerance of other religion.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's very good.
And I also, because going to these prayers, you eat different foods. So you learn a lot of tolerance of everything. So it was like, what do you say? Well, how can I say that? There was that unity
Yes.
in our
Yes.
neighborhood. And so, as we all know, lots of things influence our lives as we're growing up. So I grew up in this small neighborhood. Everyone knew each other. Sometimes I'd go down the road. By the time I come back, my mom knew where I was, or who I spoke to, and I couldn't understand that. I really couldn't understand. And then there was one of the neighbors, her husband used to beat her, and I used to go and hide and cry, and I wish somebody would help her. So today I have difficulty with abuse, any form of abuse. There were so many things that impacted my life. It's like lots. And go ahead.
I could address what you're saying there and sanction it, because I really, if you follow me and I always in defense of women, although I do not tolerate a woman that doesn't behave either.
Yes.
But I am here to straighten any crown, any hat, any beret, whatever a woman is wearing on her head, and I could make it look better or feel better or sound better from someone else's mouth. I am here for it. I watched abuse on my mom. My mom was hit with a mortar pistol. We say in Martha is how we grew up, but a mortar pistol, and flattened her out. She almost died. So I never grew up. And I myself got some lashes myself from older brothers and sisters and lover and man. So I really feel the same way like you. I do not stand for it in any shape or form. Whether it's verbally or physically, I really don't stand for it. Yes. So as you were saying about the abuse, and you tell us about your sisters and your brothers. How many of those before the 8th, which is you, how many of them were boys and girls?
So there were 4 boys and 3 girls before me. And so everybody, because it's a large family, everybody, the first thing they say is like, how much food your mom have to cook for so many kids, 14 children? Well, she did not have 14 children all at once. So I often say, and it's not meant to be a bad thing, I often say she had her kids in batches. So the first batch was the 3 boys and the 2 girls. Then the second batch was the 1 boy, 3 girls, and 1 boy. And from each batch, one fit into the other. So, and then the last batch. So that's how I do first. So when the older ones, they were born, my mom took care of them, and then she had, of course, the older one would help her along. And then as they got older and we came along, then the older set would help us. I remember my sister taking me to school, taking me to the movie theater. So I remember all of these things. They're taking care of us. And they would try to beat, nobody, not me. I used to run. I couldn't handle licks at all. No.
Everything about me is like you. You study my life because the same thing with me. When I was getting ready, okay, when I was born, the first child of my mother was 18 years older than I am. So she was pregnant with her first child when my mom was having us. So her first child and me happened to be playmates. We born the same year. I'm just a month and 14 days older than my first niece. Hello, listen, the same like you. So that my second brother, her second child, he was 16 years older than I am. So they were already getting out of the house. So I get to familiarize.
Exactly.
Yes, I understand where you're going. So here we are breaking it down for our audience to understand that, although a woman may have 10 children, the 10 may not grow up together. They may not be playmates, The first of the 10 may be your second mother.
Exactly.
They might be the one to take care of you. So we are so much like sisters that I thank God for this meeting today. This is what yes, I thank God for this. So let us hear about how you grow up and your schooling and everything like that.
So because I have to tell you,
and listen this, one time for giving me a licking, only one lash anybody could get. Because the first lash, the second lash coming, I am on my feet, running down the street, across the street, on the beach, heading into Roxborough to go hide by my aunt. So when you say nobody couldn't beat you, you used to run. You just making me feel to run right now.
Well, I remember my dad, he was going to beat me. I don't know I can't remember what I did. And my older sister, she says, when he hits you one, run, because that's what he does with the boys. Well, so when he hit me the one, I took off. He says, come here, little miss, I'm not done with you yet. Oh, I was so mad, so upset.
You're making me feel so proud of my past. Because I now recognize
Let's talk about the way I grew up.
I am not alone. Coreen, you are my sister of the past.
And then when my mom would try to beat me, oh no, I would take off. Either climb a tree or run down to the end of the street and hang out there with the neighbors. And by the time 6 o'clock is when I'm heading back home. and I moved closer to the house. I'd climb on the poado tree. It had a poado tree there. And then when I thought it was safe, then I'd go home. And I never got licks. So I did that all the time, not knowing. As an adult, I asked my mom, how come you never beat me? She says, by the time you came home, it was too late. And she wanted to have a good night's sleep. So she didn't beat me. So I was like, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're speaking. Well, I used to do that part when a big brother or a big sister want to beat me. I go on until I see my mother reach home from work, and I go show up. And I showing up in tears with my story. And from the minute she hear my story, she get ready to let them know. This is why you always ill-treating her. And I crying, the emotion used to be so deep. And again, my mom was born, let me see if they could match this one. My mom was born on January 1st. And I was born on January 2nd.
No, I can't match that one.
Okay.
I was born April 17th, 1957.
I born
And
1956.
She was born August 31st, 1923.
Oh, I doesn't really give my mother birth date. That's a serious number for me. Hello. Sometimes you have to do what you have to do with certain numbers. They go ask you, So I don't really give that up.
Well, that one I never give. I
You
don't
never
need
use.
it. I never use. I never use that. Yeah. So that's okay. And what else can I tell you about? Oh, growing up was fun actually.
Your school.
So I went to Sangre Grande Government School. School was a sort of elementary school was a bittersweet though. I went to school. I started at 5 years old, and I remember I used to walk a mile to go to school, a mile back home for lunch, a mile back to school, and a mile back in the evening. And I started at the age of 5. And my sister would take me, and I remember running behind her, my little feet going. I remember that. And so I grew up, like you go to different classes, and I was bullied in school. And there was one kid who would always hit my lunch out of my hand, break my dish if I had glass, so I wouldn't have lunch. But I never said anything to my parents. I just took it in stride. And then also in school, I had friends of East Indian descent and friends of African descent because I'm mixed. I'm a mixture of all kinds of races.
So your father is East Indian, your mother East Indian too?
My father is East Indian and Spanish, and my mom is of African and European descent. And so when I would play with the Indian girls, the ones of African descent will call me the N-word. No, they'll call me the C-word, coolie. And when I play with the African, the Indians will call me the N-word. So I grew up feeling like I did not belong anywhere. And then, different events happened. But, like I enjoyed school. School was fun and I had friends. But just those things impacted me, but I didn't let it control me, but it did impact me. So much so that when it had the Black Power uprising in 1970, people were talking about going back to where they came from, India and Africa. And me being young, I said, well, probably not young for some, but yes. So I used to think that it would split me in half and send half of me to Africa and half to India. Seriously. So when they had the curfew and I was walking home, and one of the neighbors, child, don't you know you're supposed to be at home now? If the police see you, they're going to shoot you. And I'm thinking, I don't care. I prefer they shoot me than they split me in half and send half of me to Africa, half to India. So I was walking one today, one tomorrow. But confided. I never spoke to my parents about it. I never spoke to anybody. Like I didn't think about my siblings would be in the same position. I just thought of myself in that position. So here I was
because it was happening to you. So you just have to pick up this mechanism of defense. So kudos and cheers to your resilience. And can you just you were a child. You saw yourself as a child in turmoil, so you just trying to get an exit strategy out of what you were experiencing. So I give you kudos, and I would like to know, how did you overcome? What you used to overcome this feeling of bullying and Indian versus Negro.
I couldn't give you a definite answer for that, because with my mom having so many kids, and I told her this as an adult, because we'd have conversations later on in life, she didn't have enough time to give individual attention. So she was so busy cleaning house. She was a stay-at-home mom. So she was so busy taking care of us. So we just learned to be resilient. And playing and climbing trees, because I was a real tomboy. Climbing trees was, I guess, our outlet. Oh, I should speak for myself, my outlet. I would climb, I would play, and I used to dream. I was very good dreamer.
Oh.
I had these visions of what my life would be down the road. Like I would get married, have kids. I would drive. I was always driving, and I would drop my husband off to school. The kids off to school. My husband to work. I'll go back home, take care of the house, and so I was always dreaming. Walk home in evenings, and if I was alone, I was dreaming. If I were with friends, we talk about what our life would be when we grow up.
Wow.
That's how it turns out. But I think dreaming helped me.
I just was feeling my hair to see if I have any Indian hair. So I think we have the same father or the same mother. Something going on here right now. We are we have so much in common. It's not.
And the thing about
right
having mixed kids, you never know what's going to come out. And I may not use like perfect words to say certain things, so please forgive me. So, in the 14 kids, you have an array of colors. And
do you know Caroline? You know Caroline?
Yes, that's my sister.
Oh, she's saying, we all call her Coreen. Hi, sis.
Yes.
Welcome. Nice to see you. Beautiful.
And so her real name is Caroline, but we all called her Carol growing up. And then, of course, we used to sing, "Oh, Carol, I am but a fool." We used to sing all the
nice.
time.
Look how many people coming on already. Your family.
And Eleanor is my sister.
That's another sister?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Well, you're filling up the place here this evening. This one is your sister too?
Which one? This is same Eleanor. It was me, Eleanor.
Yes, it was me.
Yeah.
Eleanor. Oh, my goodness. Nice to have you guys. You guys keep the life alive. Your sister is here and she's speaking of the whole family. And I am so excited because I think I'm part of your family too, Eleanor. Yes.
And we grew up, although we didn't learn to say I love you, but the love was there because we look out for each other.
So she's the one that used to take you to school and movies?
Eleanor is the one who told me about when he give you when he hit you once, take off. She's the one. Yes.
Don't call in, Henry. I'm excited. Let's go. Let's hear. This is so much fun.
Oh my God. So I finished elementary school. I failed common entrance. This first time I failed. The second time I was so sure I was going to pass. I don't know what happened. Anyway, from there I went to the convent, and which was right. Our house was behind the school.
I failed my first chance also. But I scored points in the second chance. And I got into the Roxborough Secondary School. But you had to go to a convent.
Yes. Well, that's the one my mom sent us to. She sent all the girls there.
So who paid the fee? Well, I know you are Catholic.
Yeah. My mom did because she was like a banker. When I say that, meaning like the little that she had, she'd put aside first. School fees were $35 for the term.
Oh boy!
So she'd put it aside.
She used to plant stuff and sell to the neighborhood.
No, she used to give away. She gave.
Oh.
And I couldn't understand why she gave away everything. Like whatever the spoil, she'd put it on the table. And she'll pick out the best and she'll say, okay, this is for this one, this is for that, and then the rest would be for us. And I'm like, why would she give everybody all the best and we get all the ugly ones? Not knowing that was life's lessons I was learning.
My goodness, just like my mom. Her sons will plant tomatoes around the yard, big tomatoes, but at times some of them used to kind of burst. Crack, the tomatoes.
Yes.
Those are the ones where the bird pick. She will be keeping and cut out that to cook. Cut out that with cucumber, and the best one sending it for her brother or her sister in Betsy's Hope or the sister in Roxborough.
Well, and then she also read chickens and ducks. So at Christmas time, let me fix these glasses. At Christmas time, we would have to clean chicken and duck. And I didn't like that job very much. And she would take it down to Port of Spain to her sisters, because my mom grew up in the city in Port of Spain. So she'd take it to them, and then they would send her up with apples and nuts and whatever Christmassy things. They would all get a duck and a chicken at Christmas time.
My mom used to bake the cake, share it, and my brothers used to mind pigs, rare pigs. So when listen to me, keep talking, you hear? So your mom used to live Port of Spain in the area where these Indians were robbed of their land and give them small change and send them away.
I don't know, because my mom came from a family that had a lot of land. They had acres and acres of land in Bugmalatras. In Bugmalatras.
Yes, because then that was the exchange. That was the exchange, a switch for the Port of Spain land, and they give you land way out there in. Because I had a friend there in Brooklyn. Her name was Indra, and they have lands. All them St. Vincent Street lands and so was belonging to them after the indentured laborship stories, and they were cheated of those lands and given lands way in Grandy and all these areas up there.
Well, my grandfather, all his land was in Manzanilla, that I know of. His land was in Manzanilla.
So you guys you guys know of it still? You guys?
Yeah, well, my grandfather had two wives, like the first set of kids. And my father belonged to the first set of kids, and then the second set of kids, one of the sons, he's living there now on the land, and the shop is still there. Yeah.
So none of you asked for some or peace or?
From what I gather from my uncles and my dad didn't speak very highly of their dad. But I never asked questions. I was too young to know anything. And back then you didn't ask questions because then you would be considered rude. So so today now there's one uncle that's alive, and when I talk, they don't want to hear nothing about their father, and so they never got. I don't know if they didn't want or they didn't get, or I don't know the story. If I tell you anything, I'll be lying.
So you don't really get into the past with your families. Okay.
No, only past that's positive, that could impact
motivate
my life positive. Yeah. Those things happen, and I had no control over it. However it played out, I wasn't there. I just know that I had a grandfather that I wanted to see, and he was 5 years old when he died, that I really wanted to meet. And I used to say to my mom, I want to see my grandfather, I want to see him, but I never got a chance to. But as an adult, I saw his pictures and I'm like, wow, he's handsome.
You see? Yeah, didn't get to know him.
Yeah.
No.
So
we're talking about the convent.
Yeah. So I went to the convent, and my mom, she used to say to us that I sent you guys to the convent so you can speak like the nuns. Now, I interpreted it as the accent, and I'm thinking, why would I want to speak like the nuns? They speak funny, because they were Irish. But it wasn't the accent she was talking about, and she couldn't explain it properly. But she explained in her way, but it was to speak proper English. She was a stickler for the English language. So, and she used to say what you mean and mean what you say. And I didn't send you to school to speak like that. And a lot of different things, so many things I learned along the way. So many things she said that, today I hear myself repeating it. But in some cases, not so good, because I hear myself and I'm like, why am I sounding like my mother? That sounds so silly. And then I would change I'd flip it around. Anyway. That's right. But we all have, I believe that we are in control of ourselves. We have choices that we can make. and maybe I'm being, what's the word I want to use? Like maybe it's not really entirely as black and white as I'm saying it. But for me, myself, I believe that I'm in control of my life. I can choose.
Your destiny.
Yeah. What it is I want. And I always knew what I wanted in life. So I went to school. I was mischievous. Like I like teasing people. And my mom was the same way, not realizing that I inherited that from my mom. But never with malice, I would say things. And so going to the convent was fun. It was fun. We playing netball, playing tennis was great. I loved high school, and I had some awesome friends in high school.
You still have some of them?
Yes, up to today we're still friends, and I still have friends from elementary school.
Oh, that's why. It's because of your spirit and you're optimistic about life. So you channel yourself for success, and you channel yourself in isolation. You're not gonna be going back and making note of things that cannot create progression. That is what that is what I see you as.
Yes. And in high school, there comes a time where my mom sat us down and talked about the birds and the bees.
Oh, she did.
And
nice.
Yes. And so it was, shouldn't have sex before marriage. It's a mortal sin. And I used to wonder, well, why not? So I started dating, because that's all she would say. You can't have sex before marriage. It's a mortal sin. Okay. And so when I started having boyfriends now, the first thing they want is sex. And it's like, why they want sex? Like, you're not supposed to have it. It's you have to wait till you get married. That's what I'm saying in my head. And I couldn't understand why these...
They used to call it sex?
I don't know. I just know they wanted to get in my pants. But my mom called it... My mom called it intercourse. She never said sex. She called it intercourse. Sex was a no.
Let's go. You see, I tell you. Anyway, you said it too. You said after a few minutes, I'm going to get into it. Let's go.
So when they would constantly want to get in my pants, it's like, no. And then I'd get rid of them. So I was changing boyfriends all the time. And one day I sat down and I thought about it. And I said, if these guys have sex with the girls of their own age, when they're ready to get married, then they have to get girls much younger than we are, in our age group. They have to get, and then the guys coming up, because I have a vivid imagination. Yes. So I started to think about it like that, and it just wasn't, it was just crazy. Yeah, so I changed boyfriends.
So Lenore ever talked to you about sex?
No, because she was busy. She's 8 years older than I am. Mm-hmm. So by the time I started high school, she left. Then Carol was 2 years older than I am. So when she started, and 3 years later, I started, because I started late. I started high school. So we didn't have time to talk. We were busy reading. Eleanor drawed a lot. She was always drawing. Even when in school, to get away from work, she would draw. Caroline and myself would read a lot. And when we had work to do, I had a book under the bed. And I would, when my mom isn't around, I took the book out and read. And then when I see her come in, I put it away and I'm busy working. And then sometimes I want to go into what we call an outhouse or latrine. I would go and I'd be like, oh, my belly is hurting. And I have the book in my belly, right? The book is there and I'm going to the latrine to read. And oh yeah. Because my mom used to say, God didn't give you a head only to wear a hat. Yes. So I used to let her work my brains. It's like, okay, I want to read. How am I going to get to read? I don't feel like working. I want to read. So I found ways to read. I mean, that didn't mean I didn't work.
So to get away from anything, you want your book. You take that book with you. So when was time to talk about periods? Who did it?
Nobody spoke about periods.
Oh my God.
No, nobody spoke about periods. One day I had it and I went to Eleanor. I went to her and I was scared. I was like, oh my God. And she helped me out, and it wasn't, that's why I tell you, the older ones look after the younger ones. So I guess they became mothers in their own right without actually having kids. Yeah.
So what that was like for you?
Once you helped me out and explained, I was fine. Life goes on. Nothing was, I don't recall anything being a big deal, where it's, growing up that was that traumatic. Whatever was traumatic, I threw it over my shoulder and I keep going because I didn't have a choice. Because, if I sat there and I cried that I had a period, what's going to change? I'll still have the period. If I was bullied and I sat and I cried, what would have happened? And I don't remember crying when my lunch would be destroyed. I don't remember, I just took it all in stride.
So you were a critical thinker?
And maybe it was preparing me for the future.
Yes, that way I know I ask you, if you were a critical thinker, you used to see everything as it is and question it. You never see anything and leave it without questioning.
Yeah. Wow. Like my mom, I had to be home. My mom, whenever I'd go out, she let me go to a party or wherever, the movies or visit a friend. I had to be home by 6 o'clock. And I couldn't understand why 6, why not 7, why not 5, why 6. So she never told me why. And because we didn't learn to ask questions, I would come home at 7 or 8 o'clock to see what would happen. I wanted to know.
First, this period thing happened so long. Poor Eleanor can't even remember.
No, there are certain things that impacts our lives that we remember. That other things don't.
Other people will not have it down in history, but you have a story. Yes. Oh my goodness. Well, you didn't ask me, but I can't even remember how I know about periods. But I know about periods by seeing my mother taking off this piece of cloth, pull it out and put it to soak outside in a basin with water and a little bleach, and then I saw my sister with her clothes dirty or stuff like that, or I go to the river to wash, and the older girls in the river, they go be there and they're talking about menses, you understand me, and menstruation. And then in classrooms in school, because kids wasn't taught about cycle and all these things, so you will just see girls with their skirt messed up. That was in elementary school, eh? High school was a little bit more different, but it used to happen still.
I remember it happening in elementary school. I was in post-primary and it happened to a girl, and I didn't understand what was going on because somebody was talking about blood on the chair and all that.
Yes.
And it's like, okay. Life went on.
In our times, it was real crucial, You had to learn by seeing your senses. You have to be right in your thoughts. You have to always be very calculated. And some people will ask themselves, how you know so much? And it was so much taboo and shame around period where I remember a girl in school named Mavis in elementary school there, and is a male teacher that took her and took his jacket off and tied it around her waist and took her to the principal office, which was also a guy, and then they sent and called a female teacher, and because yesterday in my show I wanted to ask the question, should every school have a nurse practitioner, a nursing assistant in Trinidad and Tobago right now? Should every school have that?
In Canada, the schools have a room for the nurse. Excuse me.
Yes.
So that when anything happens to the kids, they can go to that room and there's somebody there to attend to them. I don't know if it's an RN or if it's just a nurse's aide, but there's somebody in the school and there's a room especially for that.
Nowadays, kids have periods as young as 8 years old. Yes, wow. 8 years old. So I believe that this is part of the education system that should be fixed in Trinidad and Tobago. That every school should have a nurse and a nurse's room. Yes, schools need to be prepared for periods because the kids are getting younger. Most of them, their parents doesn't be home at all during the day. Most of them, their parents dropping them off at school and somebody else have to pick them up or they have to go to some other class just to make up time. So parents doesn't have the time. You understand me? And parents nowadays having the kids one after the other. They're not spaced out like if Lenore was old enough to tell you something. You understand me? Nowadays everybody a year apart. So when you get your period this year, or you and your sister might get period the same time. Because some girls just come in late. Isn't that so?
Yeah.
Some girls come in at age 13. You come in at age 13, but you haven't gotten a period, but your sister 8 years old.
I started 9. I must have been 15, 14, 15.
Look at that. And at
late,
8, now I'm 9. 12 years old.
Yeah.
There was a girl in school in Roxborough Anglican School. They came to live Tobago. They were living in Trinidad. And the father came to work on the estate there, an Indian guy. And that girl never had a period and she get pregnant.
Wow.
So maybe the same time when the period was about to come, she had a little sex thing, so a little intercourse, according to your mom. And there we had our little schoolmate. Ashamed, she wouldn't walk the street, she wouldn't come out to even go to the clinic. And she had her first child. She got pregnant. And the boy didn't even marry her. He didn't even stay with her. But then I understand that he and his wife separated and he died, and I don't know if she's alive still, but she went on to get married with a lot of kids after that. But I think she got messed up. She got messed up because she was so bright. They came from Trinidad so bright. And she came to Roxborough Anglican School. And she got pregnant before her period came. They didn't even believe that she was pregnant because she never had a period.
I believe that parents should talk to their kids, like really, really sit and have heart-to-heart conversation with their kids.
Because ovulation doesn't mean that the period will come. She ovulated and the sex happened. So here comes her first child at the age of 13. That was trauma for the evening class. Yes, and sometimes it's because of rape sometimes that could happen.
Yes.
So the sex didn't happen, the rape happened, and she got pregnant. And it was traumatizing for us. So at age 13, that wasn't sexual intercourse, that was rape, because she was underage.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
But in those times, she little and she hot. She's a little, she like, man. Before you address the problem, so your daughter can get healed, and the society around, the community around, the school, girls her age, her friends, can also get healing. Everything went out of control, and so be it. Every year or two, we would have children getting pregnant. Either impregnated by their brother, their father, the stepfather, their uncle, the neighbor next door.
And I find too often people are quick to rush to judgment. Instead of taking a step back and thinking of the possibilities. Maybe this, maybe that, maybe, and if we take the time to say maybe this and maybe that, it will give us different ways to look. And like I say so often sometimes I'm talking to clients and I say to them, if you look out the back window, you'll only see what's in the back. You won't see what's in the front. Depending on what window you look out will determine what you're going to see. So it's the same thing with your eyes and your mind. If your mind is like this, tunnel vision, you're not going to see anything else. And if you have no intention of broadening your horizons, then how are you going to be able to speak to people and give them different ways that they can look at stuff?
Yes, excellent advice. And I like the one with the closed-mindedness. We can't be too closed-minded. We have to be able to escape from this tunnel vision lifestyle. And so those things, advice that you are giving right now, because you are here to give advice and here to share your knowledge, to impart and to take away fear from the younger generation and to build them up and give them the encouragement to know things can happen to you when you are young, but it doesn't mean that what happened in your youth should lead you into a future of failure.
And because we all have our beliefs, but my belief is not necessarily yours. So because my belief is different to yours, does not mean I can listen to what you say and understand what you're saying and look at it through your eyes. That's where I'm coming for the different windows.
Yes.
So if I actually listen to you and I hear what you're saying, I may not like it, but I could certainly try and understand, or I can prompt you to explain some more so I can understand where your head is at, so I can understand what you're saying. At the end, I still may disagree, but but at least I can hear you out. And at the end, I could say, something. I understand what you're saying. I still don't agree with your idea, your concept, your belief. Mine is so.
Amen.
And that's how we have dialogue.
Yes.
And there's no name calling. There's no pointing of fingers. There's no nothing. Because which one of us is perfect? No one. So if we take the time to get to know each other, and the most difficult thing there is to accept people the way that they are. We want to change everybody to the way that we are. I want to change you to the way I'm thinking. You want to change me to the way you're thinking. Everybody wants to change everybody as opposed to accepting. And when you accept someone the way that they are, you get the best of that person, because then that person is willing to open up to you and talk to you about what's really going on. If they feel like laughing, they laugh. They might have a funny laugh that might irritate the crap out of you, but that's okay. And you tell yourself, hey, I don't laugh like that, this person laughs like that. Or I don't eat like this person eats like that, So if we look at it at things that way, then, and I'm not talking about really over the top where something is not right. Like it's definitely not right. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about our beliefs and the way we think and the way we look at things and view things.
Look at people. Yes.
Yeah.
So we were in convent. You see how far we went, because that is all part of school in there with the dirty clothes and stuff like that. And this part now from convent is well, I know you appreciated your education from convent. Do you think that the society miss those kind of schooling and those kind of teachings?
It's so night and day now, because I really can't address that properly and fairly, because when I left school, I was so happy to leave school. At the age of 16 or 17, I had a job. I got a job from one of my sister's friends. No, I didn't finish school. Just August holiday, I had a job for the August.
So you touch money. So you smell money. You know what money tastes like. Let me hear that.
And I could hardly wait to finish school so I can make my own money. And so I went back to school. And then in Form 4, I did 3 subjects, because sister wanted us to find out what So the exam was like,
Sister mean the nun.
The principal of the school, yeah. Sister Coleman, rest in peace. She was awesome. How? And then, so I did the 3 subjects: history, English, and religious studies. And because I have such a vivid imagination.
I tell you, we have to check with gene pool right now. We have to check our gene pool. Go ahead.
So in class, well, I have to tell you the story. In class now, for history and religious studies, you have to go home, study, and then come back the next day and give an account of what you learned. They don't want you to verbatim. They just want you to tell the story. So I would get up, and especially history class, I loved history. I'd get up and I said, Sister will say, give her an account of the day in the life of a slave. I'd stand up like, it was like a bigger drama to stand up. And I said, well, sister, they used to wake us up so early and we had to go out in the field. Because if I could imagine it, I could remember it.
That's right.
I said, so 4 o'clock in the morning and it's still dark and we have to go out there and clean the fields, and it have snakes, and you have to make sure you don't get bite with the snake. And then I'm going on and giving them the. After a while, sister say,
giving a graphic story because of your imagination.
She used to say, okay, Dawn, sit down. She used to tell me, sit down. And then religious studies was the same. So I used to imagine me being there and telling the story. So when results came and I passed history and religious studies, somehow I failed English. I have no idea.
Hey.
Sister says, the Lord was with you when you wrote that exam, because she wasn't expecting that I would pass any because of my way of describing stuff in school, in the classroom. But because of English literature also, you learn to visualize.
Yes, and history for me too. Oh my God, so you are a visual learner. Just like me, I used to visualize the slaves at the bottom of the ship with the chain and whooping and whooping and pooping and who.
Well, I didn't go that far.
I used to bring drama. Whenever I think, and it took me years before I could get over the trauma that I received from history classes. And that was the only subject that I passed in Roxborough Secondary School, yes.
Well, then I went on to Form 5 and I didn't want to go back to school anymore. It's like, why do I have to go back to school? I already sat exams, so why do I have to go back to school? So I went, and I failed all my subjects. And then I went back another year and then I passed the others. But I didn't want to be there anymore. And then from there now, because I didn't do so well as well, to go on to do advanced level, and besides my mom didn't have the money, so I went on to secretarial school. And
wow. So we're gonna move on, but I must let you know that we are sisters. Let me tell you something. I couldn't do Spanish except I see a picture. You understand what I'm saying? That Paul and Rosita going to spend their vacation with their aunt and uncle in Spain. And just seeing the picture, that story never leaves my head. Pablo y Rosita. Pablo and Rosita, his sister. They're going to spend, yes, that was the Spanish that I learned. To do French, if I ain't see them with the glass by the cafe, drinking, and the man stand up next to the woman, I can't follow that story. I didn't know how to conjugate these things. I couldn't do it. So we are here with an hour. So we're gonna have a little break and then we will come right back. Welcome back to the live, Mama Coco's Live and Style Sundays. And I'm so happy to be here with our sister. She's given us such great stories, not story to be a storyteller, but her life and her mom, her parents, her siblings are on the live also. They are in the audience writing in and keeping close and keeping it real with Sister Dawn Coreen Henry. So Sister Dawn, welcome back. The stories of upliftment and empowerment and enlightening. And I am here. Yes, can you adjust yourself right back up to match your sister? Yes, go up a little more. Nice. Look at you. We are right on par. We are together doing this thing, and we are doing it real. We are doing it good. So now that you finished school and you love to work because you work when you're 16 and you're tasting money, you know that you could work and buy your own stuff. You could share something with your sisters. How you felt when you draw your first salary?
Honestly, I don't remember. I just know that I had to take that money, and part of it had to pay for transport because I was traveling from Sangre Grande to Port of Spain, which is about 29 or 30.
Yes. Nice.
29 to 30 miles. Traveling to go to work and back.
Where did you work? In a grocery store?
No, in a store, in a retail store, clothing store.
Yeah.
And
you remember the name of that store?
Oh my God, no.
So where the store was in? Where was the store?
It was either Henry Street. No, in Port of Spain. It was either Henry Street or Charlotte Street. It wasn't Frederick Street. I don't think it was but I think it was Henry Street. And at that time, my mom used to make a lot of handicraft, and she had taught me to make a thing for my hair with seashells. And a guy saw it, and he wanted to order stuff, and I don't remember if I made it or not. I don't know.
So she made bandana. What she made?
It had a piece of leatherette, and with you put 2 holes in it and a stick, and it goes through and hold the hair together.
Oh,
you remember that?
Yeah. Yes, I remember that. And those things, somebody could have picked that up from your mom and turned it into a great business because it sells a lot. It sells a lot all over in beauty parlors and beauty shops and beauty supply places. Mm-hmm.
Also, a crucial part when I was.
Sister is saying, read the screen.
She's Charlotte Street. Okay, because it was her. Through her, I got the job. She knew the person. Yeah.
Thank you, Sister Lenore. I tell you, you're delighted to keep it real, and I'm loving it. Oh. So that was there, and you moved from there, and you did what? What you did?
Well, I went to secretarial school. Could hardly wait to finish there. I was also I would say kind of rebellious, and it's like, what am I going to do with shorthand? No, I wasn't going to be a secretary because that went out the door a long time ago. But the typing I did, and then I got a job at an insurance adjusters, and all I did was type. So I passed. I don't think I ever passed shorthand. I passed typing, intermediate. I got as far as intermediate. And then I started working because I could hardly wait to work. Because when I was growing up and I needed a pair of shoes, anything we needed, we go to our mom to ask. Well, I went to my mom to ask. And she said, go to your father, go ask your dad. And I went to him, I said, Papa, I need a pair of shoes. He said, okay, when I get paid on Thursday, I will give you the money for the shoe. Thursday came, Thursday went, and no shoe. Next week, I went back to my mom again. Can I have a pair of shoes? I need a pair of shoes. Go and ask your dad. And he says, when I get paid on Thursday, I'll get it. Thursday came, Thursday went. I think about a week or 2 went by, and I said to my mom, I really need a pair of shoes. She said, go ask your dad. I said, but I asked him so many twice already, and he said he'll give me, and he didn't. She said, well, do like Carol and beg. And I look at her like, are you kidding me? Beg? Like, what is that word? So I never asked him, and I said to myself that day, when I get big, I am going to work for what and get whatever I want for myself. I'm not going to ask anyone for anything.
So right now, you are empowering young people right now. Eh? Not even young alone. You are empowering people who believe that everything they ask their parent for, the parent must give it to them, and they didn't get it from their parents, but they will choose nefarious ways of getting the stuff. So right now, you're teaching out financial independence and empowering, and how to empower women. How to not even women alone, a young boy.
Not only women, and because like they say, the mind is a powerful thing to waste. So for me, it was like, if I need something, why do I have to ask for it? If I don't have the money, I do it out, and when I have the money, I get it. And if I never have the money, then I never get it. Just that's simple. It's not complicated.
Your sister is talking again. She's saying that is why she's so independent. Yes. So
I have to cut in and give a story with that sister Eleanor. She had a son, and I used to take care of him. When I'd get home from school, I'd get dressed and take him out to the store and buy him candy or whatever. So I grew up taking care of him, and I treated him as if he were my baby. So at some point, as in high school, towards the ending of high school, I said to my sister, can I have your son? Would you give me your son? She said, no. I said, well, why not? She said, well, because he's mine. I said, yeah, but I take care of him. She said, but I'm not giving him to you. I said, you're bold. I told her she was bold.
Because you took care of him, you believe you, and oh my Lord, that is so funny.
And that's where sometimes people come to entitlement, where they feel they're entitled too. You know?
Oh my God. That is a form of entitlement, but then you asked. You didn't.
I didn't take it. I asked.
Amen. Yeah. Amen. That's an awesome story.
And I guess maybe in the back of.
No, I know a lot of relationship with siblings end up bad because what? You didn't have no time with him. I took care of that child. Now the child get older and could do something or give a gift. You think you entitled now, and the child shouldn't remember you, the aunt who did so much and did everything, and they have risks right now. So I'm glad how you and Eleanor worked that out and could be able now to be so close. So how old is that nephew now?
She said, I thought she was crazy, my son. No. He's now in his 40s. And we're still close, you know, like it's a close-knit family. We have our issues like
yes.
Yeah. But there's that bond there that no matter what, you know, sometimes either hormones or whatever take over and say, I'm not talking to you right now, you know. And then that passes over and, hey, yes, I love you.
Because I know you grew up hearing that teeth and tongue there's meat. And you hear that before?
Well, I heard it, but my mom didn't. It's not an expression she used a lot. She just wanted to teach us to love, you know, like
unity.
Yeah.
Amen. Yes, this evening, this afternoon, evening for some people. Well, it's just 12:50 for me right now, and we are going into. We just passed our hour, and we still have some questions here for you. So can I get some questions coming? Tell us about your phenomenal mother. Yes, who birthed 15 children.
She was amazing. She knew how to stretch. First of all, she was very religious. She believed in God like it was nobody's business. And so she taught us about faith. And if it's the one thing that I take away from everything that I've learned was having faith, that belief that faith can move mountains. And I remember in high school, I learned that you have to have faith as small as a grain of mustard seed.
Mustard seed, yes.
And not knowing what a mustard seed looked like, I imagine it to be like the head of a straight pin, how tiny like that. So I kept that with me. And so my mom, so many life lessons, like I could say so much. So she taught us about having faith and believing. You know, if you want something, just believe and it will happen, and it's going to happen. And discipline was her big thing. So she taught us, like for example, when we had to scrub floors growing up, and sometimes we had a scrubbing brush, and if there was none, then we used the
coconut fiber.
Yeah, and we'd use that. And so when we scrubbed the room, she would come back and check the room. And if there was any spot or spots that we missed, we had to do the whole thing all over again. The whole room. Yeah. So you learned early o'clock that when you're doing something, you do it properly the first time around. Because then why waste your time? You know, like having to. Yeah, because
do it over anyway.
Yeah. So you learn to do it properly, and I used to watch her doing handicraft, and she was so meticulous. Her and Eleanor, they were so meticulous doing stuff. So you learn stuff, you know, looking on. Although she had all these kids, she did the red pig before I was born, then chickens and ducks, planted a lot, and. Although apart from things to eat, there was also flowers, you know, like anthurium and different flowers that she had, but not a whole lot of flowers, but more about eating food. The boys had to clean the outside of the house and the girls the inside. And when we had to scrub a pot, if there was no such thing as Javex or Vim.
There was an ashes of sand.
Yes. First was sand and the coconut husk. Yes. And it had to shine inside the pot and around the edges. Underneath it was okay, because she said that part is going back on the stove. Anyways, it wasn't a stove, it was an open fire where you have 3 blocks and you put the pot on top of it. And so, of course, the pot ends up really black on the outside, and you have to scrub that and get that shining again. So we learned that.
So that was so that was a kind of open face fireside way that you guys cooked. Yes. Same here.
And then we also prayed together as a family.
Hold on. You guys had the stove that the kerosene used to be in a bottle on the side?
We had that eventually. First it was outside, a wood fire. And then that stove that you're talking about with the bottle on the side, yes, we had that. It was a long time before we actually had a stove, like a real stove. Well, what I call a real stove.
I know.
So because of the way we grew up carrying water, we had to carry water and fill these oil drums.
So where you get the water? I have to interject here. Where did you guys get water from?
The standpipe, we had to walk. I can't tell you exactly the distance, but we had to walk to get the water and walk back home. And we had to fill, each of us was responsible for filling a rim of the, you know, those oil drums have those rings?
Yes, up to the rim, yes.
Yeah. So we each had to fill a ring. It was 1, 2, I think 3 rings it had.
3 rings to the top.
Yeah. So each had to fill one before we went to school, because my mom had to cook and she had to wash while we were at school. So we learned carry water on our head, and in order to speed up the process, sometimes one bucket on the head and the other one in the hand, or sometimes 2 in the hands, and you're going. So, and what ended up happening in doing stuff like that, it made our necks stronger. And our arms stronger. So a lot of the things that we did it made us strong kids. We were strong. We were skinny, but we were strong and very healthy because we did not. I mean, the odd cold we would get, but really, I got chicken pox as an adult at the age of 28. My daughter gave it to me, so we didn't get sick. And she was.
So you didn't get the immunization on your shoulder?
Yeah, we get immunization, but that wasn't against chicken pox.
Yes, it was.
Well, I didn't get that. And when I went to Canada and I got it.
Oh, you got chicken pox, but that the one that we got at our age group, that was for smallpox.
Okay, but for me it was chicken pox because I have a needle and I forget which one of these, but I don't know for what. But I got chicken pox, as an adult. And so we
this one was for measles, smallpox, and rubella. I think the one that we received as kids. So yes, that was what we got. That was for
because
measles.
I remember getting one in high school. I remember getting a vaccine in high school.
That's the one. So knock on wood for me, I haven't gotten anything as such, but as a diabetic, I try my best to stay away from getting shingles, because shingles is a form of the smallpox.
Okay.
So at our age, we have to be careful. But and I think I got the chicken pox vaccine to get my green card.
And then with my mom, she growing up, I thought that she spoke a lot. Like I remember sitting in the bedroom one day, and our room was next to our parents, and my mom was downstairs, and I don't know what she was doing. To me, she was always quarreling. That's how it felt like. Maybe not, but that's how it felt, because her mouth was always going. Because she used to be singing sometimes, time waits on no one, it passes you by, goes on forever. You know, like...
don't you cry, it goes on forever, don't you cry.
She'd sing that, and she would talk about if friends will carry you, they will bring you back. Lots of things, she would say. And one day, I'm sitting there and I said, and my mom asked her damn won't come out of her mouth. Like that, those were swear words. So I'm sitting there and I'm saying, I don't know why she don't shut her damn mouth. And my father, he says, I didn't know he was in the next room. He says, Coreen, I took off down the stairs and away I was gone because I thought the next thing was coming would be blows. I took off.
So as you speak in there, your mom was a family manager. She used to control everything. She making sure things go right. So at what age you think, if you can say it, if you want to or not, you can't say it. How old was your mom when she had her first child?
She was 23.
Oh, 23. Oh, my.
And when she married my dad, 23 or 24, when she married my dad, is when she found out that he was same age. He's June and she's August. And she said she never wanted to marry a guy same age. And that's when she found out. She found out they were same age.
So she didn't talk to him before? They didn't have the conversation?
No, he told her, he gave her the wrong age. He gave her the older age. Yeah. He's a man. He have to give,
he's a man. Man don't give the right age.
Speaking of my dad, he was quite, he's quite versatile. He made his own bird cages, and he was meticulous about it. It was so neat, and I don't know if he sold it or if he gave them away, like some of them. But he had bird cages hanging in the gallery, and he would bathe the birds and feed them and whistle and whatnot. He also did sign.
What was his trade?
He started off when I was born. He was a chauffeur, and that's what they call it back then. And he worked for whoever, drove them around, picked them up, and pick up stuff for them. He drove a truck, I remember. But as a teenager, he worked in a public transport, PTSC, Public Transport Service Corporation.
Yeah.
And so he did a bit of mechanic, but not a lot. He was mostly the driver that would take the mechanics up to a bus that was broken down, as far as I know.
Yes.
That was broken down. But he did sign painting, and I used to watch him, sit there and watch him, and you see him taking, and he's so meticulous and doing the sign painting. He did I remember on his bed, his and my mom's bed, he drew a vine with flowers on it.
Yes,
on the
I know that.
headboard and the footboard. It was metal. I remember him chiseling out the wood. He made a dresser for my sister, and he even chiseling out the flowers, and he made it, and he was good in woodwork as well. So he was quite handy. I mean, he built our house, so he was pretty good. So I learned a lot.
So did your mom and dad had a great relationship that set great examples for you? Because you have a brother in between those girls, Lenore and them, right?
Yes. But I don't know if they did. Like I said, they worked with the tools that they had. And if anybody can go back in time as to how people were raised, the kids didn't say a lot, kids didn't ask questions, parents didn't talk a lot to kids. It's not like modern day people actually talking to the kids and explaining things. So my dad was quiet. He smoked cigarette, and he would sit on the banister with his coffee and his cigarette on mornings, and quiet, not say a word. If the boys or anybody was out of place, he would straighten them up. I think he didn't like to get vexed, because if he got angry, then it wasn't a nice side of him would come out. He liked to drink, so when he would drink, he'd come home. He was a happy drunk. So when he'd come home, he would give away his money. I remember him giving us $1, everybody. And then he got up next morning, "Where's my money? I want my money. Who took my money?" So, but they had their own issues. And my thing was, whatever's going on, transpiring between the two of them have nothing to do with me. That was my thing. And so I love my father, I love my mother. And I love them in my way. I love him in my way. I love her in my way. So, but I was partial to my mom because she's the one who raised us. She's the one influenced our lives. So, she influenced my life in such a positive way. And later on, I had to give back. There came a time where I had to give back. My responsibility was to my mom. So I had my responsibility to me growing up. I had my responsibility to my kids when I had my kids. And then when my mom got older, I had my responsibility to my kids. To my mom.
Wow.
So so whatever transpired, there were times they had their issues. Without getting into too much details, I remember my father come home from work, and I learned a lot from listening to them, because my mom stayed at home to look after the kids. So when he gets home now, she has to tell him what transpired. So he'd sit down to eat, and with her not knowing better, instead of letting him eat his meal, she would start. This one did this, and this one, and that one. One day he got so mad, he took the plate and he flung it through the window. Right out the window. So that's why I said, what transpired between the two of them has to do with the two of them. It has nothing to do with me. And that's how I lived. So I didn't say, well, I hate my father because he didn't talk to my mom, or he threw a plate of food out the window.
Yeah,
I don't like.
Well, she home with the kids all day, and she wanted to exchange what was happening with her. She wanted an adult to talk to, someone who she believed should be the best friend and the listener. But she didn't marry that guy.
Exactly.
She didn't marry that guy. So what happened after you all grown up and everybody? What happened to your mom?
One by one, people started leaving, the house. I left. And my mom, she stayed in the house. And
did you live in close proximity? so that you could have
No, when I left, I went to Port of Spain. I took off to Port of Spain. I flew the coop. I flew the coop.
At what age that happened?
Early, I finished school by 1920. I was gone in the Port of Spain. I'd come up to Sangre Grande, but I'd stay at my cousin in Port of Spain. She was awesome. She took everybody in.